numbers 169 through 171. The total change on tax because of those is a negative $54.06.
I make a motion to accept these ads and debates, 2021 169 to 2021 171, in the total that David stated.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then I have the sheriff's report and the AMR reports for you.
The sheriff's report was total prisoners 17, 8 releases this past week. In-house 15, farmed out 2, 911 calls 99. Total calls for service 327. Civil service, total service papers served 3, VIN inspections 9, 5 new cases, closed 10, vehicle crashes 1, bailiff activity 92, livestock out 5. Ambulance report was total calls was 38 and transports was 29.
You see that?
Yeah, I seen that.
I think that's all I've got for you for now.
Good. Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Weekly call summary, we had 15 incidents. Brings our total to 317 for the year. We're getting into a bunch of hay baler fires. This week, the heat's supposed to kind of recede a little bit, so other than that, I have nothing.
Not anything.
Yeah, man. Okay, thank you, Randy.
Thank
I guess this letter here from AMR too, that they did not get their medic. They had one, he rescinded his offer and took a much higher paying position up north. Okay. Missy?
Our weekly activity for last week, we did 12 COVID tests, 17 immunizations, that's COVID and childhood immunizations, 10 WIC, we had 3 family planning, 1 TB skin test, 5 car seat installations, 1 MCH home visit, 2 health promotions with 4 kids in attendance, and 12 contacts with our breastfeeding care counselor. Anything else?
Everything else going okay?
Yeah, we're doing good. Just hoping it stays that way.
I know here a few weeks ago you talked about having to go into school and do those. You have to do that in the jail too.
I don't know. I've got to call out to somebody else to see. I don't know if it's just schools or if it includes that or not. They might fall under more like,
I think there's a state office.
yeah, probably, especially since they have a big kitchen and all that type stuff. So I don't know. I'm still checking into that because you asked me about that last week.
This morning on the news, they covered a new drug for COVID that's come out that's approved now. Are you familiar with it?
The injection?
I don't know what it is. It's one they've been testing for years.
There's a 2-dose
Yeah, that's it.
Novavax.
Yes.
I got a health alert on that last week.
Okay.
And we will be giving that when,
So next week when you come in, can you give us an update on like, why is it being used? Is it better or different? So
Yes,
people
I
that
can-
want to maybe get vaccinated.
yeah, but we haven't got it yet. I don't
Right.
know when we'll get it, but I'll let you know as soon as
Okay.
we get it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Missy.
IT did get that going, so
Okay.
5 now.
Sean?
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. We're beginning to move some items today from different offices, just furniture items to assist the county attorney and community corrections. But it did bring the issue, maybe I'm unaware of it, but I'm not for sure. When we vacate the buildings downtown, what to do with the furniture that's going to be left behind, or the storage of that furniture, or the sale of that furniture. I haven't been a party to that plan, if there is one, and needed to know when I get called to clear out those buildings, what we need to do with it.
First of all, I would think that we'd offer internally if anybody wants anything, and then,
For use in office.
Yeah, for
Not
use-
to take
yeah.
home.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
for use, for here. And if not, then there's no use in storing it. Just, you can put it up for auction, you can do whatever.
Too bad there's not a website we could put that stuff on.
There-
Auction.
There is a website. The county can have their own free website if they just want to do it. I can show you, but I'm not doing it. But yeah, there is, you can offer, maybe one of the other auction services would be willing to do that, or if you've got enough stuff, or you can put it online and sell it, or you can get rid of it all, take it down and throw it away if it's of no value.
How much stuff we're talking about, Sean? Is it-
All the desk and furniture that they're leaving and going into new furniture and stuff, and then whatever office supplies, cabinetry, or things that are obviously new in the building. So I'm not sure how much there is. That all depends on how many. I don't know about the other satellite locations that I haven't talked to the department heads, just the ones that I've seen.
So are we trying to have it all out of there by the end of the month, or what?
So that's my question is once we get occupancy, I understand we're renting those buildings, so we're going to want to move pretty swiftly to get them cleaned out and turned back. So
The old attorney's office over there, we could store it into your auction or whatever, but I don't think we'd want to store it there for a long period of time, do you guys?
What about our rental buildings over here? I mean, could we stick it in there for now? Or
Are these storage buildings? over
they're full.
so
The
stuff that we need to get rid of?
Is it just old desk and stuff that nobody was going to want?
I'll have to look, but I'm under the belief that whatever's there is not worth moving twice. It's not valuable enough to move twice. So if we're unable to get someone that has a use for it in our system, my advice would be, if we can't find a ready storage area to sell the stuff, to move it once and landfill it.
Yeah. Well, not, in the metal you can always scrap.
Scrap the metal but I wouldn't spend a lot of time moving used furniture with labor that's going to cost us more than we're going to get when we auction it off.
Yeah, you're not going to get much.
Right now, we've got a lease on the building the attorney's in until the end of July.
So we're,
So,
Quick.
This week, basically.
yeah, so if you want to go beyond that, you'd be paying another month's rent to leave
might as well
it.
get rid of it, hadn't we?
I have been approached by one or two of the employees of that office that they'd like to have or buy one or more of the desks from there. But I talked to David about it, and we decided that that'd be kind of
Could
your,
we make it to where we offer it to people in-house, and then we offer it to people for county use, and then offer it to people in-house to buy, and they have to come get it themselves, or?
well, I think if my feeling is, and I think David probably agrees with me here, I don't know, but is that if there's no department that wants it, then you're going to have to treat it as surplus and make it available to anybody. I think that's a shame. I'd like to be able just to make it available to employees, but that doesn't seem that that's consistent with the purchasing policies that we have.
Should we consider maybe keeping some of it for whenever we redo the old district courts building for the people that are upstairs right now?
But Danny, if they don't want to take it now, they're
They won't take it then. I mean, if they got the opportunity now, I guess they can take it, can't they?
I think it'd be easier to move stuff from there to there instead of from upstairs down there. I mean, I don't know.
So it might be worthwhile to mention it to the other departments, say, in the next 2 days,
Let any department that wants it take what they want.
yeah, or at least, yeah, put dibs on it and then see what's left. And, you know, if it's worth selling,
It was brought to my attention, and I'll have to speak to the sheriff, that quite possibly when they vacate their building, there may be some garage space or something that would be readily available if there was something valuable. But I have not spoke to him, and I'm not going to speak for his areas or space, but
When the
I,
attorney's office is empty too.
so.
If it was valuable, they take it with them, wouldn't you think?
I-
To that point, if not, then why just store stuff? And that's what's happened over time. We've stored stuff here and there, and then all of a sudden 20 years later, we're paying for a building full of stuff that we never intend to use anyway.
Correct.
So get rid of it. That's what I say.
Reach out and let anybody that wants it as far as the county.
yeah, and then just authorize,
Don, I've been gone a while.
yeah, then just authorize Sean through a resolution to dispose of the rest of it in whatever way seems appropriate. And that way he can, you know, most of it's probably going to be dumped. And if he can do private sales on some of it, he could do that. But it's probably not enough value there to do an auction, don't
There's
you
not.
think?
File.
Not that stuff.
And that way, Danny, people who work for the county could have a chance to get something if they want it. Amen.
Well, and like I said, I would, because of the conditions and the cost in moving, I wouldn't move it twice just to get it to an auction.
So if you could let Sean reach out to the department heads, let them claim anything they want, and then make a list of what's left, and just say, here's what we're surplusing, get rid of it.
I'll make a motion to do that. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have the landowner agreement for 7 and 300. And I'll get with the state and work out the details of what is our responsibility and what is theirs. But I do have both, signed agreements and need to follow through with that next.
Which one is that?
K7 and 300.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
Brenda come in and talked about
Cutting the
that.
trees.
Yeah, the trees right there. The trees on the southwest corner.
We're needing several road grader tires and large tires. I just need permission to go out to bid for them, and I believe, from what I'm being told, it's between 8 and 12 tires. I can't remember right offhand. I believe it's 8. But I need permission to go out to bid for those.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
I
that. I
don't
mean, you
have
have
a
to have them, you have to have them.
What is there, or is any of them for the ones that we have the buyback option on? Have we made a decision on that?
I can't tell you what specific machines they're on. From what Jeremy's telling me, we've got at least 2 road graders that need a complete set of.
When's those the buyback options, when do they do? When were they due, you remember?
7 years, 7,000 out, or
We had about 500 hours to go on them, I think.
I think you're correct. I think we had about 500 hours on one machine, the closest machine.
I hate to put tires on that if we haven't made a decision on what we're gonna do yet with it. I mean, what you guys say?
I can go, if I can go ahead and go out to bid
Yeah.
for the tires,
Okay.
then I can bring it to you next week and I can tell you what vehicles or equipment they're going on and what the timeline is.
Fair enough.
Jessica wasn't able to be here this morning. She did say she'd like to purchase fuel for the airport. We've got 1,500 in the tank. She'd like to order 4,000. There is a partial order going to another airport, which would allow us to purchase the 4,000 on the same truck. The price is going to be just below 23 grand for that 4,000 gallons. And she is also, because of the new price, going to adjust the price per gallon to $6.25 at the airport, which is still lower than airports around us, but consistent with what we're ordering.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either.
Al went to the Lake Region quarterly meeting last week, no updates, and I've had contact.
Hey, I'm sorry, go back to how many gallons she purchasing?
4,000.
Oh, 4,000.
At how much?
I don't know the purchase price. I know what she wanted to adjust it to.
What's the selling price?
The selling price, $6.25,
What would you say? I thought you said 23,000 for the fuel.
just below 23,000 for the fuel.
Okay, all right.
Like I said, Al went to the Lake Region quarterly, no updates on that from last week. And I've had contact and a response from the state about our issue with the mattresses. And I'm still waiting for our contact from the state for our region, who they've made contact with and have told me that'll be my next communication from the state to let me know how that's resolved. The fuel tanks at Pleasanton, we've approved and we're getting ready. The site's ready. Jessica's working out the electric and trying to get a bid to put the fuel shutoffs and the new panel up there. But Hoydell has come up with the change order for one of the two tanks, and that is so that Todd can pump directly from the truck. It came with a 2-inch line, and he didn't want to use an adapter or try to adapt something himself to put it in the truck. We'd like to change that to 3-inch piping, and Hoydell's come up with a bid for that of $54.80.32. The 3-inch piping's quite a bit more expensive, but I think if we put it in now to match the truck, that we're going to be a lot better off in the future. So I'd ask that you approve a change order on those tanks for $5,480.32.
What's the adapter cost to change it from 2 to 3? Is it 2?
I think it would be something that we would have to come up with, and that's my problem. We don't know what that would look like, and it would be something, we don't know how well it would work or how much effort it would take to do that each time. So we'd like to marry it up with the 3-inch line, same as the truck.
We don't have anything that, could tell us as far as the 2-inch to the 3, just the adapter.
I'm unaware. Honestly, Jessica's been working on this, so, this is the solution she came up with. And I have to think that she's asked those questions, but have ruled them out, but I honestly don't have that answer with me right now.
I just got, actually a couple of emails, one from Joyce with the cost per gallon on the fuel you're talking about. It's 5.74654 per gallon, including freight. So at 4,000 gallons, that comes up to 22,986.16. So it'd be right at the 23. The other one I got was from Janet saying we don't have that in the fuel fund, which we haven't collected that much yet. And I just responded to her telling her we do have it in the budget for airport to buy more fuel. So it's just a general fund budget item. So then we would expect to see increased sales there. That's going to give us the cash to make up for that once it's in.
Back to that airport. How come that courtesy car is not out there anymore?
At the airport?
Yeah.
I believe we're working on getting the canopy over the hoop building and getting that resolved before we put it back out there.
And that's been ordered, but hasn't come in yet, I think.
Correct, and it's It's just for damage, vandalism, and other things that we'd like to get that put in place before we get it there.
So you're still looking for a response on the 2 to 3 inch adapter?
Yes, for a change order to go to 3-inch lines on that tank.
What was the difference in the cost?
5480.32.
What's the, to be able to put the nozzle in the truck, or how, I'm confused on what?
We've got a 3-inch on the truck, and the tank comes with a 2-inch. We'd like to upgrade the tank, the piping, and this is what we're pulling on and off for the asphalt. We'd like to improve that line on the tank itself to 3-inch line.
I think they make adapters that would be a lot cheaper than $5,500 is what I think, but I don't know the exact setup.
Have they researched it much?
Again,
Can you just check into that?
I can check in on it and bring it back to you next week.
Okay.
We took out one of the dead trees at the courthouse, and we're waiting to take out the rest of that tree. We had limbs falling everywhere onto the lawn. I think everybody noticed is causing some issues with safety and with maintaining the lawn. But we've waited to finish that project, do some fiber and some other things that we don't want to disrupt or damage until the move process is done. But we will complete the rest of the tree work probably in 30, 60 days. The update from Noxious Weeds. Most of what he's been working on this past week was Johnson grass. Also working with Mike about Johnson grass around the fairgrounds. He's also had 3 residents contact him about Johnson grass on roadsides. So he's working on spot spraying for those as well, and completing service request for spraying around the lights at the airport. And I think that's been the overview for that. And I would need 20 minutes for legal with planning and zoning with Darren, if possible, for several smaller issues.
Out there on levee project there at Lacine, are they just taking a bunch of debris, and is that what they're making the levee out of? Is this old concrete debris? And
I'm sorry?
out there by the river on Lacine, where they're making the levee?
Okay, I believe it. I haven't seen any debris in what I've seen, but most of what I've seen looks to be pulled from the field.
I've seen a lot of concrete chunks there now. If that's what,
I haven't been by there in a couple months, so
mounds that they're making. I went by there yesterday and
On the levee along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some in that along the levee. I haven't been up there since they've started the road, but where there's building the levee on the private property.
I don't think they've actually started the road yet.
yeah, they have, it's just flagged. They're just moving the road over, right? Yeah, there's some flags, but there wasn't.
They got it flagged, and I think he's going to start probably about the first of the month. That's what he said.
and I've been able to find the tire bid. What he's looking for was 8 Firestone and 8 Bridgestone tires, and also 4 appears to be steering tires for trucks. So we're looking at a total of 20 large equipment tires.
So following our policy, we should be able to get 3 bids from,
Yes. And that's what we're asking to do, just to go out to bid and get those prices for
and
those.
if one company doesn't have those tires, carry that size, then get a different company in. So that's just been my beef since I've been here is we get stuck, we forget about tires and how much they cost, and we buy tons of them. We need to make sure we're staying on our procedures of how we buy stuff, and putting those in. We want 3 bids for them, not just one, because we've been buying them from one company for the truck tires or for this. We need 3 legitimate bids.
So
Put out.
each size tire, you get a different bid, 3 different bids?
Well, no, I would put them all in, if there's a company there's companies that do them all.
We'll put them all out there, and get bids.
But I'm
And
saying there's some oddball tires.
some companies may not bid 1 set, they'll bid 2. And if those 2 are cheaper and we have to buy one from, we can look at the bids after. But
I've
yes,
never seen a tire bid here. I don't think I've seen very many. If I have seen.
there's been one since I've been here that was a large purchase, but it's been some time ago.
That should be for our trucks or pickups or lightweights or buses and all that stuff.
Now, does everybody know that we're going out for bid with these? I mean, they're just the one shop, or is all the shops?
As soon as I get permission, Jessica's going to send it out to bid, and she'll not only publish it as for bid, but she'll make contact with our vendors on our list and the people we normally do business with
And
for
it has
those.
to be published in the paper.
Yes. And for the people that we do business normally with those large equipment tires as well.
That's for everybody in the county, though. We've got the list for all the road shops in the county.
All the tire shops.
Our road,
He wants to be sure we go around to each department, make sure.
every department needs, if there's anything that,
If we need to add to that list,
Yeah.
I will check on that before we,
make sure we've got them all on one list.
I will check on that before we publish it.
Okay.
So just driving around looking at the roads this weekend, like kind of out in Boycourt area, I seen 2 places where, and I got Waddles Road out there too. Where you come around the bend, the creek's washing them, kind of getting ready to wash the road out for the next year. You know what I'm talking about? Out on.
Yes, I believe we looked at that one at one point.
So there's a few others down by Boycourt along the river too. And it looks like we just have like posts driven in the ground with some cable, just kind of ran from one post to the other with some cones or something.
There's,
Engineers looking at that to get rid of.
yes, I've got Peppercorn looking at the one you're talking about at Boycourt near the river. There's, and there's Wildlife and Parks ground. I can't remember whether it's state or federal that is away from the river. And I've sent it to our engineers to have them look at relocating that road, just shifting it away from the river, giving us more time. But I haven't got anything back definitive on that yet. But what we're sloughing off as the river takes a turn. The water's coming under, eroding down below, and it's taking our roadway.
We had that same problem out there by Waddles too, that you and I looked at one time on the creek, on Mine Creek or whatever it is, so.
And that's all I needed. Like I said, I needed 20 minutes with Darren for legal to go over a few things for planning and zoning, but that's all I had.
You have anything, Gary?
Yeah, I do. Not for executive session.
Okay. We can go ahead and do it now,
Okay.
then we'll go into executive.
We've got an application for dumping assistance for reduced fees. This is from the city of Pleasanton. They actually own this property. And it's definitely a blighted property, and they're going to demo it. And it meets all the requirements of our policy. Darren has checked it over, and the address is 602 North 5th Street in Lacine. As I said, the owner is the city of Lacine.
I think it's Pleasanton.
You
Thought
said
you said
Pleasanton. You did say
to begin
Pleasanton.
with.
Did I say Pleasanton?
You did.
Well, I meant Lacine.
Okay.
And I can't remember anybody's name.
Pleasanton.
I told you things were getting worse.
We need that.
If you want it, I mean, you don't sign anything, huh? You just approve it, and then Darren signs it.
So my motion is to, what do they want? They want all the dumping fees reduced, or they just want reduced?
Yeah.
Reduce dumping fees on 602 North 5th Street, Lacine, Kansas. That's my motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The other thing I have is, you'd asked about the regional juvenile detention center. I did some research on that. Got a little stuff for you to read. A little bit?
You want us to read it all?
You want to make the motion, then we'll read it.
Make a motion.
I've kind of summarized it here, and so you don't have to read it all, knowing you like as I do.
He knows me well.
And I would be happy to run through this now, or to run through it at another time, or whatever you want.
Let's run through it.
Okay. So I wrote to the director.
But let's clear it up so everybody knows what we're talking about. There was a $58,000 a year that we pay for a juvenile detention center. Jim brought it up that we've only used it 10 times last year, I believe, and the cost seemed outrageous. So we asked Gary to look into it. And I also asked Les down in Anderson County. He thought they paid $160,000 for theirs. So we may be getting a good deal. I don't know.
I can tell you, I mean, it's in this packet, how much everybody pays. So anyway, I wrote to the director. His name is John Kemp. He was very cooperative. He attempted to answer all my questions and provide all the documents I requested. First thing in the packet is his letter responding to my specific questions. That's the first page of that packet. And he addressed, the history of the situation, where the funding comes from and goes and so forth. In 1986, this district was created. Actually, it was a little later than that. In 1986, there was a federal legislation passed that required every county in the state to plan for juvenile detention separate from your regular detention facility. So federal law changed, and then the state law had to require it to keep up with the federal law. In 1987, the state provided funding to Linn County to help plan a juvenile intake program for the county. They provided this to a number of counties to give them some money, some seed money to get something going. So in 1990, they created a fund to help counties within a juvenile detention center to work toward having one. And finally, in 1991, they agreed that the best plan was to divide the area into the state into 5 regional juvenile detention centers in addition to the 5 existing ones. Okay, so there were already 5 juvenile centers scattered around the state. And they decided they're going to build 5 more and strategically locate them so we could basically have 10 regions. And so the one that we were involved in is in Crawford County. And we entered into an interlocal agreement in 1992 to creating the Southeast Kansas region. We were one of the 11 counties that helped establish this. The agreement was set up, the agreement is in here. It's set up so that there is one representative from each county on the board, plus an alternate from each county. Now, currently, I think we're not represented. I think the person who was our representative is not working for us anymore, I think.
Well, and Lori was talking to me a little bit about this the other day, and what she had gathered between her and I think she'd been talking to Kathy Cooper with corrections. They thought Danny was supposed to be our representative.
Because he took over for Vicky. Because Vicky.
So this is part of the 6th district. I sit on that board.
Yeah, no, this is different than that. This is not the 6th district. This is the Southeast Kansas Regional Juvenile Detention Board.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think at one time Mike was on it. That's way back. But the person who's been on it has been a deputy. I can't remember his name, but I don't think he's with us anymore. But anyway, they said we haven't had anybody attending for a while.
So we need to appoint
So
somebody.
we need to get somebody on that board and an alternate. He said in many cases, it's a commissioner. Doesn't have to be. In many cases, if it's not a commissioner, it's somebody in law enforcement, but it doesn't have to be. And so just,
Did it say anything about attorneys?
we definitely don't want that. Anyway, in the early days, they were billed basically based on use. But counties didn't like that because they couldn't plan. You know, one month they might have 30 bed days and the next month 0 bed days, and they couldn't plan their budgets. So the counties wanted a formula that would give them a year at a time so they could plan. So the formula that they came up with is a formula that 50% of our cost is based upon our average use from the previous year, and the percentage of the total use that makes up. The other 50% is based upon our evaluation. So our use is low, and so that portion of our formula is pretty low, but our evaluation is comparatively high. And that's the reason we're a little bit higher than some, although there are some that are paying a lot more than we are. So that's how the figure is determined. The board was incorporated in 1994, bylaws established in 94. I gave you a copy of the bylaws in that packet. Here's a list of the counties that are in our region. They're Allen, Bourbon, Chautauqua, Cherokee, Crawford, Labette, Linn, Montgomery, Neosho, Wilson, and Woodson. So now the formula that I mentioned, it was based on a 4-year average plus based on evaluation. In 2018, we paid $73,170, which was just a little under 6% of the total. In 2019, we paid $71,628. 2020 was $65,000. 2021, $55,000. 2022, $56,000, almost $57,000. And then in 2023, $58,000. That's the amount that's budgeted. For this, we get a guaranteed bed as required by law whenever we need it, and a predictable fee. That's their sales pitch, is that's what we're getting. We are required to be able to house these juveniles. This gives us a guarantee that we can. Our usage in 2018, there were a total of 3 clients and 7 days, 7 what they call bed days used. So the bed days is the critical number. In 2019, there were 46 bed days used. 2020, there were 59. In 2021, it looks like to me from the records, there are only 2 bed days used. Of course, that was during the pandemic thing, and we weren't doing much in court. In 2022, so far this year, we've used 56 bed days. So it looks like now that court's in session, the numbers are back up. So that is a summary of this material. All the county's usage is in here for the years 2018 through 2022. If you want to compare them. Also, there is a comparison of the relative amounts that each county's paying. For example, we pay $58,000. Labette, this is for 2023 now for the budget. We're budgeting $58,000. Labette's $115,000. Crawford's $175,000. Actually, there's only 2 lower than us. The 2 lower than us are Woodson County, which doesn't have anybody, and Wilson County. Everything else is, there's 3 lower than us, Chautauqua County. The rest of them are all higher than ours, and some of them quite a bit higher. So I don't know if that answered your question. They are anxious for us to have somebody on the board, and they're anxious for you guys to come and visit. They want to show you what's there, what they do.
Since I've been there.
I mean, as a visitor.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't like paying it, not with a customer.
Anyway, they're anxious for you to come and visit, either individually or all together or whatever. They really want to they feel like this is something that we all 11 counties have ownership in, which is right. It's our institution. We don't have a juvenile jail here, but that's our juvenile jail. And so they want you to know about it and be aware of
And
it.
I only talked to that one other county, and it sounds like it sounds like we got a really good deal on this part if they're really paying that much money over there
Right.
in Anderson.
And the reason ours is lower than most of them is that even though our evaluation is high, our usage is low, or has been. And so that keeps the number down.
That was a good education for all of us because I don't think we really sat down and talked about it and looked at it.
I had no
They
idea.
seem to know, so
Yeah,
it's
it was
good.
good. Yeah. And I think Danny should be on that board. He's familiar with the process.
You willing to sit on it, Danny?
Yeah, I'll sit on it. That's no problem.
There you go. I'll make a motion that we appoint
We need an alternate too.
Danny McCullough,
Could we get someone from the sheriff's department to sit in as an alternate?
and we'll ask, maybe we'll ask, I'll ask Sheriff Friend if
He sits on the 6th district, so he might be willing to do that.
anyway.
Kevin sits on it on the 6th district.
But we can get the primary right now.
Yeah, okay. So
That's
Danny's
my
going to
motion.
be the delegate.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll pass that on to the director and have him reach out to Danny. And,
Check with the sheriff, see if there's
Yeah.
somebody that wants to be an alternate. Okay. Thanks, Gary, for taking care of that.
yep.
Have anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
What's going on with the power poles over there? Did we ever reach out to,
Is that the road you're talking about?
yeah, where the, wherever did you put?
Yeah, or, I'm going to get it.
I'll get a name tag. Yes, I've been in contact with them and, we developed, a system for them to contact us to market, and as soon as they tell us that they're ready, and within a period of time that they'll be ready and we can go out and mark our right of way so that the poles can be moved
So
over.
anytime they're gonna put new poles in, or
They're going to move it, yeah.
they're gonna move,
Yes.
but anytime are we gonna reach out to all the companies that way to where they're not putting things in there right away? Or?
Yes, I've got to make contact with the other companies and advise them. Basically, we're not asking them, like we do with a boring or with a trenching in our right of way, which is typical of phone or fiber.
Right.
We're asking them if you're going to put anything near our right of way or possibly in our right of way, to contact us and have us come out and mark those right of ways so that you can put your permanent utility outside that. So you don't need a permit for our right of way, but you do need to contact us and have us identify our right of way.
Okay.
So, but I've been in contact with them and they have assured me when they get ready to do the project that we will be contacted and we can come out and mark that.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
When we were talking about that, I just got a text message from someone that lives in the county, and they, just so we can clarify, this, what's the approach on a hedgerow or a fence row with the road beside it? Does the county clean it out, and how does and then the owner takes the fence, or how does that work?
If the trees are on the owner's property, the owner is responsible for maintaining them. If they get in our way, we have the right to clean them out, but we don't
But
have.
you say clean them out, you
I
mean
mean,
just
to
trim them.
cut them back, yeah.
Yeah.
To cut them back so that we can see if they're in our way. But we don't have the obligation to clean out the fence row if it's on their property. If it's on our property, we could take it out, take the fence row out, but
Take
we
both
take the fence too. Because the fence is not supposed to be on our right of way.
So if there's a fence on the right of way right now, or if it's beyond it's in our territory, what's the rule on that? We tear it out, they can put it right back where it is?
No.
Our policy has been that if there's a fence on our right of way and it's not interfering with anything, we've just left it. But if they take it out, then they need to put it back
Where it needs to go?
where it's supposed to be rather than on our right of way. And they need to talk to Sean about marking that.
You're good with that, right?
Yeah, that's what it did. Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to work. And over a generation's time, maybe we'll get all the fences where they need to be. But we're not running around ordering hundreds of people to move fences.
Yeah.
It's just that it's clear that if the fence is on our right of way, it's really not supposed to be.
Okay. Is that it with you?
That's all I've got.
Anybody else need any more executive time?
I need 10 minutes for personnel,
You need 10 minutes?
for personnel.
Okay. Make a motion, we go in executive session.
Give me five, I need 5 minutes, probably legal.
Dude, you never get done in 5 minutes.
You want 10?
Yeah, that'll work.
10, okay. I make a motion, we go in executive session for 40 minutes, 10 legal with Danny, 10 personnel with Rick, and 20 minutes legal with Sean and Darren for legal for planning and zoning. It's a total of 40 minutes.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There was no action from executive session, so I guess, Dave, you ready? Okay, come on up.
I was going to visit with, I'm Dave Berglund, and I was just wanted to visit with you. I had a couple of questions. I'm serving on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I am so impressed with your choice of hiring Darren. I think he's a great choice. I think he brings a lot of knowledge, and I appreciate everything that he brings. I was going to ask you if you would consider hiring a county engineer, somebody that's got a stamp that has, I know you're spending funds out of the county for contracting for engineering and different things, and I didn't know if you could answer a question, but did we not get some stimulus money for county improvements on roads and bridges and stuff out of that government package? Can you answer that for me?
Nothing specifically,
ARPA money, I mean,
yeah, nothing specifically for infrastructure, but
Yeah. Okay.
What,
it could be used for that.
Dave, what did you think would be an advantage to hiring a full-time employee, county engineer versus the way we do it now?
Well, Rick, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not sure how you do it now, so maybe you could share that with me.
We usually come up with whatever projects we need done, and we hire them to go out and do the estimates and engineering work. And
bridge inspection for our company.
Right.
Okay.
so
So-
we found it to be reasonable to do. I mean, it's all expensive when you're hiring an engineering company to do that.
That's what I'm thinking, and I'm just thinking that an on-staff qualified engineer would eliminate some of those costs and also be qualified. And I am not here to bash anybody, okay? I think the county staffing is great, but Darren is a great guy, but he doesn't have a degree. You know, if we look at, we're visiting him about inspections and different things. Your road guys are great guys, but they're not structural engineers. They can look at a bridge and if a truck falls through it, but who's going, and to hire outside people, that's money going out of the county. And so I'm just asking that, once upon a time we had a county engineer.
I know we did. Do you remember what the reason was?
He retired.
No, I know he retired, but the reason why we didn't hire.
I think they decided that they could probably, first of all, they had trouble finding a qualified person that would work for the money that they could pay. And then they felt like they could probably get the services that they needed. He was doing a lot of things besides being an engineer. He was basically supervising the road department, which is a whole different deal.
Right.
There's really three kinds of services involved here. There's just the everyday management services, which you don't really need an engineer to do. Anybody can do that. There is the engineering questions about specific projects, and then there is the design work. And he wasn't doing the design work. And generally, your county engineer won't do that. That'll still be bid out. So it's that mid-level stuff that your engineer will typically handle. The questions like, do we need to replace this bridge? Or, is there a way, is there a concept for this low water crossing other than the way we're handling it now? And then if there's going to be a bid, then you get an engineering company to design that thing.
But, and we currently now, I know we're just talking about bridges. I know
I'm just talking. I'm not.
there's a lot of other things that we probably could use an engineer for, but, or not a lot, but some. But we're required by state law to have those bridges inspected anyway.
We do bridges.
And that's why they probably went to the outsourcing.
But right now, that mid-level service is
Yeah.
being provided by what we call an on-call engineer. So
Right.
we have a contract with an engineering company to do that mid-level stuff that it takes an engineer to do, but that is not at the level of designing a bridge.
It's not
or
a
designing
full-time
road.
job.
That's not a full-time job. They just pay us or we pay them for the hours they actually use doing that. And the thinking at the time was doing that kind of a situation, you're going to end up most years paying less than you would for a full-time engineer, plus, benefits and that kind of thing. You're not paying any of that. So that was the thinking at the time.
Okay. And, I just wonder if you're not putting some things on some current employees that's pushing them their limit and making decisions. When Sean was off, you had Mrs. Hightower pretty much running the road department, I thought. And she's a great lady, and hardworking. But I was just thinking that there were things that this person can do that would take the weight off of you guys and off of them and help our county be a little more ready for what's coming, because things are coming. It's going to come. And my reference on that is, I grew up in Stanley, Kansas. I graduated from Blue Valley High School senior class at 12, and now they graduate 4,000. And it is coming. And I own property up there, and I pay more taxes on 5 acres up there than I do on 800 down here. And it's just still agriculture, basically, a couple of houses on it. But I just don't want to not be prepared and have this thing set up. And probably said enough of that, but I would hope you would consider looking at that and given taking some weight off of Sean and Mrs. Hightower and do that. And then the other thing I'm here to visit about is I think that, in my opinion, I would like to discuss the possibility of having 5 commissioners instead of 3. I just, not faulting anything that's going on, but if, like planning and zoning, I think I've served on that for more than a year or two, and never had a commissioner to our meeting. If we have 2 of you come, it's official meeting. We can't do that. So basically, we do what we do, and you get it on paper. And I just think that we would have a better, as our community is going to grow and stuff, we would have more input and I can see where a strong-willed commissioner can dominate a weak-willed one, and then the third guy doesn't get to vote. So if he does, it doesn't get any good. And down the road somewhere, as we get bigger and our population grows, and don't take it personal, Rick. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just
You
thinking.
picking on Jim, not me.
I learned never to pick on the Cowboy because they've always got their spurs on, So, and Danny can outrun me, so I can't get away from him. So I don't know. I'm wondering Gary, can you share with me what the procedure would be does that have to come to a vote, right?
I believe it does. Yeah. We looked at that several years ago, and I believe that the process is the commissioners would do a resolution calling for a vote on that, and then the county would have a vote.
And, and as money, as a child, there was more than one of us. We had a pie, they cut it a number of pieces. Company came, everybody just got a smaller piece. Was still the same pie. I think Jim probably knows a little bit about how that worked, and so when you come along, Steve didn't get as much, right? Or Mike. So I don't know. I just would like for you to think about it. I think it's something not faulting what you're doing, not picking on what you're doing, not saying anything bad about you. Don't go home and think that. I'm just thinking that as this county grows,
We need to be proactive.
huh?
We need to be proactive.
Yes, I think we really do, Dan, and I think that we need commissioners attending some of these meetings to take back their overview of what's going on. And, I mean, if you've got 5, then 2 can do this and 2 can do that, where right now only 1 can come to our meeting, so 2 guys say, "Oh, I don't like the planning and zoning. I'll just send the other guy," So we send a loser to that one, and So I just would like to see us consider this 5 commissioner thing. And you have any questions for me?
I don't.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, everything you're saying, I agree with. I don't know how we do the engineering thing, but I think that'd fall in place really well with my ditch ideas. Hopefully we can get going one day. Need a good vote over here from these 2 on it, but
Well, maybe if you could, I know your staff is short. I know everything costs money, but it'd be good to be ahead of things. If you could look at what you are spending for engineering that could be handled in-house, and what you're missing. We don't know what you're missing, I mean,
But why do you think we're missing something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm a lineman. I don't know about high voltage electricity. Don't know much about farming, but I'm struggling through that. I get a new lesson every day. But I've been at it for 60 years. But anyway, like I say, don't be offended, Rick. I'm not picking on you. I am not picking on you. I'm just asking that I think that the county is going to be growing, and I think that we need to look at the 5 commissioner situation, and I think we need to look at a qualified person. I think Darren, I don't know, I've never been through this, but if he's going to start doing foundation inspections and stuff, which he and I have talked about, he's seeing stuff that isn't good for the county. And I know I came in here in the 70s. I was a lineman. I worked for Kansas City Power and Light. Half of the services we went out on, we turned down. They didn't have main breakers in them. They were just doing stuff, We could only inspect to the fuse panel. We couldn't go by that. That's all Power and Light would let us do. And the reason we inspected it is to protect Power and Light, because we didn't want to hook up a fuse panel that didn't have a main breaker in it. And we had an ex-commissioner that was building houses and putting 6 fuse boxes in them, no main. And at one time we had when our county engineer left, we had a contractor as a dirt contractor, and he knew more than everybody in the county. So that's probably another reason the county engineer left too. He knew everything. So I don't know. I just like you to broaden your scope a little bit and consider these suggestions. And I've wasted enough of your time. So
no, we appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
I want to look into this as much as we can and see if somehow we can work out this, because I think we're going to see a new group of people coming. We're seeing it now with this situation out here next to the high school with that guy that's building that fantasy park or whatever it is. I've got it in my neighborhood now, and Mr. Yell's building buildings and plastering his names all over them and everything. And we're just going to see more of that. And if you don't believe me, just go up northern Miami County. Houses now are being built on 40-acre tracts, and the entries look like the entry to Shawnee Mission Park. There's one up there. I was over on Row, and the driveways got planning's in the middle and it's concrete on the inbound and outbound, you know, and the house looks like, I thought it was Ramada Inn when I first looked at it, you know, in my opinion, when we grew up here, everybody went to town, got a job, tried to come back to Linn County and farm. And nobody's coming back to Linn County now. The people who are coming back to Linn County are buying it. And they're going to do things with it. And that group of people, you know, they're coming. I called the sheriff Sunday night, 2 a.m. There was whatever these UTVs are, diesel things roaring down in the game reserve. My wife still watering her flowers in her garden, trying to keep it along. She goes, what in the world is going on down here, you know? And she said, you got to go down there. I said, no, I don't go down there. That's not a place for me. That's just going to end up being bad news, you know? So I just called down to the dispatcher and I said, hey, you got somebody could just cruise down that way and see what in the world's going on down there, you know? But there's a new group of people here. We wouldn't see a bunch of farm boys out doing that. They might have been riding their horse down there or something. But anyway.
On the county engineer, I think when your comp plan, when we get to see it all and see what you all thought the future of the county would be something worth looking into, is maybe another reason
Thank you.
to consider that.
Thank you.
And we haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen that.
No, we're
But
yet Darren is, the way I understand it, Darren is still pursuing people to help us.
right.
And you know, and back to that subject, my planning and zoning is about land use in my mind. The rest of it is over my head. So,
I think all of us three will be interested to see what you all came up with for ideas of how to make the county better as far as through what we should do as far as regulations, if there's any of those
Yeah.
planning and zoning thoughts that went into it.
and I think probably our renewable energy is going to come back and knock on our door again, because, you know, that's always motivated by federal money that's put in to do those things. I mean, we wouldn't have ethanol plants if government wasn't paying 50 cents a gallon for every gallon of ethanol, because it won't work, you know. And so we probably wouldn't have the, and I say this word carefully, generator wins, that if the government wasn't subsidizing it. And so we're going to see more of that. And so my thought with visit with Darren is we just need to know what our position is. I don't want to make Gary rich going to court all the time and defending us. And so,
He's already rich, just richer.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dave.
Dave. You got anything else, Gary? You done?
I'm done.
I bet you do.
I've got a couple things. I have 2 items here from Deal Banwart Bolton for audit. One of them is the audit contract, which the audit's already been done at this point, but they finally sent me the contract that they want signed before they release all the copies of everything. And the other one is a client representations letter, and that is something we do every year with them. Goes through several pages, but it really boils down to, we have given them all the information they've asked for, and Janet and I both have to sign it, and then it takes the commission chair signature too. So it's kind of a formality. They already have the audit wrapped up at this point. I already have an electronic copy of it.
Didn't they used to come here?
And he would come if we want him to come in and talk about it. I mean, we could set that up.
I don't think, for me, it's not necessary. I mean,
I will definitely bring all of you a copy of the audit.
What he'll do if he comes is read the
I
disclaimer
know.
paragraphs.
I remember that.
That's about it.
Yeah.
So what I really need on that today is just a motion for the chair to sign the audit contract and the client representations letter so that I can get those back to them.
That's my motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sign away. Good job. Proud of you, man.
Aye.
You listened, didn't you?
Okay. And the other thing I had today is publishing the budget. Let me get this over the pages we need. So I think I sent all of you a copy of the budget after I reworked everything. I met with several department heads. We got it down to the revenue neutral. Actually didn't cut quite as far into the reserves as I thought we would need to, because Janet and I reworked the income side, some of it too. So I guess I just need to know if you had any other comments or questions before we publish, or if you're ready to have it published the way it was and what I sent to you. I would like to have a motion to approve the publication of the budget.
Well, if I'm still against it, do I vote yes or no?
You can vote however you'd like. We do have to publish it before we have
Let's
it.
push them.
Do you need a motion to publish as,
Well, I think it
Stated.
would be appropriate to have a motion to approve the publication of the notice of budget hearing. But, I mean, it's open for discussion if you guys want to talk about anything else on it before we get there.
Why are you guys looking at me?
I've always
I'm
started,
against it.
I know you're against the budget.
Well, let's look at it this way. It's too late to go non-revenue.
That's right. So now you,
It is. That deadline has passed.
And the only thing you can do with this budget, if you publish it, is reduce it. You can't increase it.
Once it's published, you can't go up. And we're already up as high as we could go and be revenue neutral, so that's really not an option anyway at this point. I mean, I don't see a reason not to publish what we have, since those deadlines have passed and we can't do anything about that.
it'd be it'd be pretty crazy to vote not to publish it now, Danny. I'll make
Publish something I don't like.
I'll make a motion that we read how you want it stated, Dave.
Just to approve the publication of the notice of budget hearing.
That's my motion.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I got him now. He's
That's what Dave was talking about.
All right, I will get that, and I actually have already sent it to the paper along with a note of, I'll be asking for approval of the publication, and if the commission wants to change something, I'll have to send you a different one, but I can just let them know now that go ahead and publish what I sent. That's all I've got today.
Burton, you have something?
I do. I've got quick. I ducked out of the criminal docket. I got to be back at 11. So if you have questions, I may have to get them later. But I'm not going to be back next week either. So I want to make sure I got in here. But I have an idea or a kind of a proposal for you guys to consider. This isn't even really a request, just a proposal for you guys to consider. But I've talked to you a little bit before about my office does diversions. When we do diversions, we take in diversion fees to the tune of about $100 per diversion. That money right now goes into the general fund and is just goes back into the county. So there are some counties do it the way we do it, and some counties, what they do is the diversion funds stay in that county attorney's office for that county attorney to use for whatever, for equipment or training or furniture or whatever. The recent conversation we had about the budget and all that made me think that might be something that you guys would want to consider in terms of, I asked you for $3,000, for example, for trial costs and that sort of thing. If my office retained those diversion funds, I wouldn't have to ask you for that. It's kind of something that if I was able to use that, it's something that would fund my office without taxpayer funds and kind of smooth out, what I have to ask for from year to year because I have access to those funds. Another thing is Bourbon County just switched to Carpel, that new software, just like we did. They had the same, theirs was probably more expensive than ours because they have more attorneys and staff down there. And they paid for that just through that diversion money. They didn't have to go to their commissioners and ask for anything. They just had the money to pay for it outright. So I don't really have a preference necessarily. I just wanted to give you guys that option to think about if you want my office to be able to keep those funds to pay for things instead of having to come to you to ask for things. And That's something that
Doesn't some of those funds go to a donation?
well, that's a different part of it. Yes. So there's the diversion will have several breakdowns. I mean, there's court costs and fines and fees and that
You're
donation.
talking
And
about
then,
just the part that goes into the.
yeah, and I'm talking about just that $100 diversion fee.
Any
Right now,
legalities in that?
Pardon me?
Any legal issues in that?
No, it's perfectly legitimate to do it that. In fact, I'd say the majority of counties probably do it the way he's talking about.
But you'll still have the donations to the.
yes, it wouldn't change the donations. The only effect this would have is that $100 right now it just goes back in the general fund would stay. I mean, it'd still be in the general fund, but just for the county attorney. So, if we get over there and I needed,
It would be a way of putting money in the county attorney's budget that's not coming from taxpayers.
yeah.
So we can lower his budget next year.
So
I mean,
it'd be in the general fund, but it would be allocated as income to his department as opposed to unallocated income. That way,
I think you're in a hurry. I'm okay with it.
if he has a budget of $200,000 and he's got $30,000 coming in from these, that's that much less tax money he has to ask for.
and just to be clear, what we're talking
Bottom
about,
line's all the same.
I don't think it's a great deal of money. I want to say it's about $5,000 or so dollars, give or take a year. So it's not a good chunk of money, but it's something that again, if we had to send someone to a training or a CLE or get a piece of equipment for a trial or, yeah, what's that?
So cut your budget.
Or cut my budget. Yeah. Then, or get a new software. And if whatever, it's just something that would be funded through that diversion rather than, again, coming to you guys and ask for money. So
Right now, that money's going into the general fund anyway. It's already helping reduce general fund taxes. To
Right.
do what we're talking about, wouldn't we need to put that in a separate fund that he had access to? Because if it just goes into general, his budget's still in general.
Couldn't it go into the general fund and be shown as income on his budget without?
and you guys, I'm sorry, I've got to get back to court. It's 11 o'clock and the court's just, but again, I just want to be clear. This is just a proposal for you to consider. I'm not married to it either way. I think it's a good idea, but we've done
I'm not
this.
sure how the other counties do it, David.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Thanks.
Burton.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because, see, right now, anything that's going in the general fund income just goes in there may be a specific line item for it, but it all goes to the general fund.
Yeah, and that's what, this would just, the bottom line wouldn't be any different. It's just a matter of whether you're allocating something towards his budget or not.
Yeah, and as for allocating income toward a budget,
I mean, we do that with grant money.
to some extent, but, typically, we could put a line in his budget that said diversion income and try to estimate what's going in there. But really, all that would do is just give him another line item in the budget, and it wouldn't be any different than what he spends out of his budget now.
I think that's right. I think that's what he's saying.
I'm not that I'm necessarily opposed, I'm just not sure what it accomplishes, really.
I think that the reason the counties do it is it gives the elected, the county attorney a little more control over his budget, probably.
I don't know.
Just a few $1,000s, right?
We can look into what it would take to change it. It's not a problem. I'm just not positive what it really accomplishes, but.
Okay, we can look into it. Got anything, Danny? Danny, you got something?
Eddie Anderson, Chairman of the Rural Fire Department. We met last Thursday night, and part of the discussion was doing a memorial for firefighters, and then the discussion carried on to do a memorial for first responders. And some of the discussion was, where would we put this memorial at? And we come up with, we'd like to put it on the Linn County courtyard here, if it would be possible. We already have two that would be there, one from the Sheriff's Department, one from the Fire Department. And
Do we have any from the past that might be eligible for that? Do we know of any?
we, without going in the records and this and that, thinking back, we had nobody else. Some of the discussion was from the firefighters was they like to do a brick sale.
Kind
Or
of
someone,
on the other side, or kind of like they do on the other side. Would it be just for people that died in action, or would it be if you were a responder and you passed away, you had the ability to?
like I say, we haven't gone that far with that discussion, but, we're open to it. But,
Kind of like the VF, or the,
correct, like the VFW, thing is, but, if we.
what you're thinking about, that's what you're wanting.
Right. And some discussion was how can we raise money to get this done and things of that sort. And, we looked at brick sales with their names on it. And a lot of the firefighters were interested in that. But it was just something we discussed. And before we go any further with it, we'd have to get permission if we could get the memorial over there and go from there.
I certainly don't have
I don't have a problem with it.
We just need some right rules and
Some specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rules,
Something like they got there for the
American Legion.
American Legion.
Yeah, the concept, I think, probably could be the same. I don't know that brick sales would work because you have a limited number of people, anybody who's served in the military is, you buy a brick for. With this,
Could we not do that? I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like, if you're a first responder,
yeah.
and you want a brick, I don't know.
and that may be what they want to come up with, like a brick for anybody who's a first responder, and maybe a special wall or something for those who have died while in service.
But that's our idea. And like I say, before we go on, we wanted to find out from you guys if we could do such a thing on the court lawn over there.
Sounds like an excellent project for, to get the school districts involved in that. Maybe, have them design it, tell them some of the things you're interested in.
Right?
And then pick a,
Yeah, get all three
Winter,
schools.
yeah.
Good,
that'd be a kind of a neat project.
design it for you.
So,
Give them some ideas of what you're looking for and
right?
that way you have a lot of buy-in. And, other places where they do bricks, you can have people that just want, these are the people that donated to
Right.
the memorial and they bought a brick and put it.
Right.
And then there's the ones that actually were first responders, and then there's the ones on the wall that's gave it all.
Right. So,
How they do it? Don't they do it over there? Like, you can buy a brick for like a family member that saves a first responder, and you can have their date they started serving, and if they're still alive, they have the empty date. But there's not a date. Is that how that works?
I'm not sure exactly how,
American Legion, you just pay the $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
Put the,
whatever name you want to put on
yeah,
it.
whoever's,
Yeah.
as long as it's.
There's several ways to do it.
All right.
You know that.
but before we went too far, we wanted to see if it's possible to use a piece of the property over there to carry that out.
I'm good with that.
Oh yeah.
They're all for it.
All right.
Before.
Thank you.
Ready?
Thank you, Eddie. Is that everybody done?
Well, Gary, where are we at on the jail demo?
I haven't put anything out yet. I mean, I've kind of drafted a proposal, but I thought we'd wait and see if we ever got moved. I think the sheriff probably not going to be fully moved until the end of August or later. So
You just haven't put out for bid.
haven't put anything out for bids yet. I'll bring a draft of it next week and let you look at it.
Okay.
Where are you on the design for the district?
I just got to call a contractor. Well, David and I just got to get together, or was it David? Was it you?
Yeah, I'd like
And Kathy. She's the one that's gonna move her peoples in there.
When David has a good date, we're gonna walk through it. I already got a contractor I can call up and he'll walk through with us. Not saying that he's gonna do the work, but he'll, of the carpentry asset things, he'll be able to tell us like yay or
What
nay.
about the senior center?
Yeah, there's still. I haven't really talked to Rick much about that. I talked about the ACs and stuff, and I do need to get with him again and talk about that.
Good.
And we still don't have our written fire marshal's approval. He was supposed to give it to us Wednesday. They gave us a verbal approval for occupancy Tuesday, going to give us the written Wednesday. But then some kind of a fan went out And he said he's not going to send the written until that fan gets installed. And it's being shipped in today. So that's where we are. They're still moving some people or some equipment in, but
No occupancy, so,
technically no occupancy yet.
okay. Is that it? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yay.